Hey everyone who's kind enough to join us. Sorry, I'm a little late. We had some audio problems, so I'm on my phone. But I think everybody should be able to hear me, and I think I can hear everybody on my phone. So somebody says something, I'll be 100% sure.
Testing.
There we go. All right, I can hear everybody. Since it is 7:04, how many people we have? We only have 11 people. Again, I think I need to make these more controversial, but we will record it. I'm going to get started because I understand that there is another event on at 9 p.m. Eastern that some people might want to watch more than this. So with that, I'll get started. I'll just quickly run through some of the things I was hoping to cover tonight. We can keep this really interactive. Feel free to weigh in with any questions, but things we plan to cover would be updates to the membership tiers, 500 Nationals qualifiers, the Dale sponsorship, the mixed doubles last chance, the Bondsfield calendar and how to submit that for that, and updates to qualifying procedures. And if I'm going to open up the chat on my laptop, since I can at least see that. But feel free to just raise your hand and someone will say that you have your hand up and we'll reach out to you. Just quickly on updates to membership tiers. If you missed the news release we put out on our website, we have modified them slightly this year. We have eliminated the premium membership that we called last year at $50 because we didn't get, it was difficult to differentiate it enough at $50 between the $25 basic and the $100 competitor. So we now have a silver membership at $200, which with what we think are some good benefits. And we still have the $500 gold membership. I think we've upgraded the benefits on that to try to make those more meaningful. We have made the coach membership $125. Previously, it was $100. It still does, though, come with the background screen, which is $30, a domestic background screen. And the reason we boosted it slightly is we are introducing more coach education modules on a new software platform. So those things all will, I think we're offering a richer coach experience. Those things are close to being live. We use, some people had interaction with those on the way to the members assembly. If you took the level 2 certification course, they were appreciate anybody who did that because you were sort of guinea pigs, but appreciate your patience through that process as we work out the integration with Sport 80. Any questions on membership, just on the tiers themselves? Hearing none, I will say a couple of things from Lauren Rich, who's on from Member Services. Anyone, a couple notes for people. If you have moved or changed clubs, we would like you to share your member IDs with your new club to avoid duplicate payments. And we are having some challenges with upgrades. So if you're registering for an event that happens after December 1st, and you're trying to upgrade to the competitor membership at the same time, we're trying to work through it with Sport 80, but it might be a somewhat manual process. So I would encourage you to not panic. And Lauren is going to, who's on this call, is going to be sending out an email with some of the logic behind that and how we're hoping to work around it. So I don't know, Lauren, if you have anything else to add on that, feel free to go ahead. But
yeah, that pretty much covers it. Right now, the main issue is that when memberships are in a renewal window, which is what we are now, so you can go ahead and start renewing the 2024 2025 memberships if you want. Because we're in that renewal window, we're not able to make upgrades to current or existing memberships. And then also any memberships that are kind of in a prepaid state, so anything that would start December 1st, we can't users aren't able to make upgrades or changes to those. So if you go ahead and you renew as a basic right now and you decide that you want to be a competitor next season, then you're going to have to send me an email, or I'm trying to figure out exactly the best way to set up this mechanism to reach out. But you will have to reach out to have that changed for you instead of being able to do it yourself. After December 1st, all these problems will be behind us. We can go back to the normal where you can manage your own memberships as you please in Sport 80.
Yeah, so we apologize for that. We are going to send out emails to both club leadership and also to people who, based on last year's membership, this is likely to affect. It's really likely to impact registrations for some of the early regional playdowns more than anything else. So as Lauren said, after December 1st, things get better, and we are working with Sport 80 to try to resolve it. Other thing, 5U Nationals, we released the 23 qualifier sites. As expected, we didn't make everyone happy with those selections. I will just give some of the logic behind the decisions. And I will also add before we get started that the idea with these 5U Nationals qualifiers is that there will be changes from year to year. We'll introduce new ones, go back to Spiels. Obviously, I think one of the biggest ones was the Cool Duck, which is actually at Ardsley in New York, which I would say is sort of my second club personally, with where I live. But they have been a qualifier. They had, it's been a full spiel. So we spoke to the conveners there, and please don't get upset with Jeff Greenberg, who's a convener there and does a ton of good work for curling and USA Curling. But what was expressed was that they had some newer 5 and under teams who are on the wait list, who might be excited to get in their first 5 and under Bonspiel. So that was one reason why we didn't have it in there. And then that would also, that in an attempt maybe to have some newer teams get into the 5U Bonspiel circuit. A couple of the other things were that we now have 3 women's 5U qualifiers. One of the things that's with 5 and under nationals is that it's an open format event, been largely, men's teams in it, because most of the qualifiers are open. We now have a new spiel in Albany, the Child's Challenge in Belfast, Maine, and Racine in Wisconsin is doing a women's only 5 and under. And we wanted to encourage those women's only 5 and under Bonspiels. If we could, there's a lot of reasons we don't have it yet, but if we could one day, we would like to have a women's 5 and under nationals and a men's 5 and under nationals. We're committed to growing the participation of women in the sport. So that's something that gives you some idea why we added those qualifiers. And then the other one is, frankly, the Pittsburgh Curling Club had a new 5 and under Bonspiel that we also wanted to support. If you know anything about the club in Pittsburgh, you'll know that they opened their dedicated facility about 3 weeks before COVID. So they have certainly battled through some challenges, and we felt it was worthwhile to reward them. I know Pittsburgh, as a guy who lives on the East Coast, we might not consider Pittsburgh East Coast, but it's pretty close. And I did drive there from New Jersey for a Pirates game this summer. So that was the other reason it was there. Expect every year for these things to rotate through. There's certainly some other spiels that were in it before that aren't this year. And we just want to keep help building that 5U Bonspiel ecosystem. Again, it's a good problem to have. When we first did this first year, we needed 23 Bonspiels, and we struggled to come up with that many. I don't even think we did in the first year that USA Curling ran the event. This year we had over 30 applications. So that's some of the logic behind. Again, I know that not every decision we make is universally popular, but I do want people to at least know that thought goes into some of these decisions. Dale sponsorship. If you were at the members meeting, you heard about that. We now have an official beer of USA Curling. So that's exciting. I will say it's been a bit of a slow rollout, and that's really, we announced it in August. August at many companies like Dale's is a little bit slow. Tomorrow they are rolling it out to their sales team at a sales meeting, and then some regional sales meetings later this week. They are going to develop a club kit for member clubs, and we are going to be working with them to introduce them to as many member clubs as possible. If you know anything about alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, you can't give away free beer. So they're not going to be able to give away free beer, but there are a number of ways they can really benefit member clubs that choose to carry their beer. The club kit's going to include a bunch of things that we think will be helpful for member clubs. And then there's also things they can do like special events, et cetera. So even if you're at a club that maybe doesn't have a liquor license and say gets event licenses for Bonspiels, we want to connect you with their representative or distributor so that you can make that part of a Bonspiel. And you know, I know they'll go out of their way to make it a good part of your Bonspiel. So they are distributed in 48 states. So even if you haven't seen them much where you are, very likely that you know, their distributor is likely to be either a Miller Coors distributor or an AB distributor, an InBev distributor, or a local or a craft brewer distributor. But they will be able to get you their beer in 48 states. Just a quick update, the club council meeting this week, I had to move one day. We had to move one day. That's been going well. I will say if you're probably some of the people in this are also in the club council meetings, but one of the things on that is if you're on this and you don't think your club is attending club council meetings, I urge you to try to get them to do that. We have had good turnout, excuse me, and I think productive meetings. Mixed doubles last chance, I think we're at 41 entries. So that is there's going to be an email about the start time on that. We're going to have to move it ahead one day. So there's an email draft that will go to anybody who's entered in that. But we're excited about the interest in that event, and we think it's going to be great. One of the things we're looking at right now is also bringing the level 2 coach certification courses that we did. The course that we did in for the first time at the members assembly, rolling it out around the country. It will be it'll be Phil Drobnik and Craig Perry delivering that, along with at times special guests. But we're targeting 5 or 6 events this year where we will run that course in front of the event. Mixed doubles last chance is one that we're likely to do that at. It will depend on demand. We're going to want to have 12 people enrolled to make the course work. But we'll have more news on that and announce the venues we're going to use for it. I know a lot of people ask me with the Bonspiel calendar. It's pretty clear on the homepage. You can find the Bonspiel calendar on the homepage, and if you click on the Bonspiel calendar, it's pretty easy to submit your Bonspiel. So I would encourage you to do that. If there's a way we can make it slightly easier to submit your Bonspiel, maybe we will find that, but it's pretty straightforward. So if you know someone who's running a Bonspiel wondering why they're not listed, tell them to follow that pathway. We are also rolling out the Ice Tech training. We did one of those sessions in Chaska in June. First one, our World Academy of Sport curriculum delivered by the Ice Techs who took that training with Sean Olson and his crew. So we have those scheduled for Ardsley at the Ardsley Curling Club in Ardsley, New York. And Evergreen has one on the calendar, and we'll be offering more of those around the country. And if I missed any of the currently scheduled ones, Lauren will let me know, but we'll continue to roll those out and distribute them across the country. But especially if you're on the East Coast, look for the event at Ardsley in October. And I can see that in the chat, Lauren added all these things about events and training in there, whether it's Ice Tech courses or additional instructor courses. Some of you, I don't know if anybody in this call took the game scoring course at Chaska. That's going to be a new certification that we're offering. That was well received. That will probably be something we offer online this season. So look for that coming up as well. And then the last thing I'll say before I throw it open any questions is qualifying procedures document is on the website. And if we do make updates to it, it's annotated at the top of the qualifying procedures. So there are always some changes that happen to the qualifying procedures document. A couple things that are different this year. One is we are saying that if you are the age of 21 during when a 5 and under bonspiel, if you've reached the age of 21 at the time of a 5 and under qualifier, you can play in the 5 and under nationals. Previously, we were following the junior nationals cutoff date for under 21, making that the cutoff for over 21. Logic behind that is there are players in areas where they just don't have many junior curlers, and we think this is a good way to get those a few more in, but while also maintaining 5 and under nationals. Really, as an event, it's intended for adults who are new to the game. So that's noted in there. Two other things that we might want to note: the mixed fours and seniors in this season, we're going to follow the World Curling rule on that, where you only have to be a resident of the country you're representing for 2 years. So if you can prove 2 years of residency, you don't have to be an American citizen to play in those. You will still have to be an American citizen to play in men's and women's or mixed doubles, excuse me, or junior men's and women's. But those other ones, we want to encourage participation. So that rule is modified slightly. That certainly opens it up to a few people who are transplants, and it's no secret that we have a lot of people from Canada and other countries who are significant contributors to their member clubs here in the United States, and we think that's something we should offer. Last thing on mixed fours.
Sorry.
Yes.
I have a quick question about that. If somebody has played as a representative of another country in the last couple of years, are they eligible?
No, they're
okay.
Yeah,
So it's residency
Yeah.
Okay.
Good point.
I don't know how to explain that rule.
Yeah, no, there is a window that the World Curling uses, so you can't represent Latvia last year and then the United States this year. It's a 2-year break from representing another country. If anybody has really getting in the weeds on that without doing that here, if you have questions on it, please just reach out and we'll work through the World Curling rules with you on that. And then the last thing on that, just to make sure everybody knows, there is no 2025 Mixed Fours World Championship. World Curling is not running one. So the winners of this year's Mixed Fours Nationals will not go to a World Championship. And we're not going to get into a thing with Mixed Fours where you would go the following year. So for Mixed Fours this year Nationals is the ultimate prize. And then we'll see what World Curling does in future years with mixed fours. They are looking at all of their events. I think there's a lot of, certainly nobody ever wants events to go away. But, they are looking at all their events to see, make sure that the ones they have are least revenue neutral, right? So, and they don't want to lose money on events. Liz, thank you for noting that the World Deaf Curling Championship is April 26th, 22nd, and May 4th at the Four Seasons Club in Blaine. I have that right, Liz? It's the Four Seasons Club. We put a post up on our Facebook page about it, or shared one of World Deaf or USA Deaf Curling, looking for some players. So kudos to Liz for getting that event here. Finding a host, and I hope people can look into that and support it. I don't have anything else. I'll let we have staff on as well. Some of our staff is on. If there's anything that anybody thinks we should cover here, please go ahead. Going back to this idea that we need to make these town halls more controversial, or I'm just boring people to death, I guess, because nobody's showing up anymore. But I appreciate the 14 who are here, including the staff people. Did I miss anything? Lauren, Jenna, Craig, whoever else might be on? Excuse me. All right.
Dean, wait
Yeah.
a minute. I had one thing.
Fantastic, Chris. I'm thrilled.
Did you?
Hi,
did you
this is
talk
Liz. Can you
about
hear
the-
me?
Oh, I can
Go
hear.
ahead.
I'll have Chris go first, and then we'll go to you, Liz.
Did you talk about the National Training
Okay, great.
Academy?
Yeah, the National Training Center. I did not.
Wasn't that on the list?
Yeah, did I have that? Did we put that out there? So National Training Center update. We are working pretty hard with a few places, exploring the idea of having a national training center that we would like ultimately to be both a place for athletes to train, a place for us to host not all, but many of our championships on a rotating basis, and also be the kind of place that could host major events, both our men's and women's nationals, world curling events, and possibly even grand slams. The new ownership group wants to have things here. So we do have an RFP for that, Chris, that we are starting to circulate. And we've had productive meetings here in the Twin Cities with some, some of the communities around here. A lot of pieces have to come into play, but at least one site is moving ahead faster than we might have expected. So it's exciting. I can't give away a whole lot more than that. But the other thing that I think can propel that is the announcement that 2034 Olympic Games will be in Salt Lake City. It would be nice if LA, I mean, not nice, because I'm thrilled that the Olympic Games are in Los Angeles in 2028. But if we didn't have another Olympic Games, the USOPC would be very focused on 2034. They will be very focused regardless. And I think that will be to our benefit. So that's my update. Chris, do you have any other questions on it?
Nope, that's good. Anything I can do to help the process, just let me know because I'm interested in it. So thank you.
Yeah, fantastic, Chris. I'll invoice you for a cool few million shortly, but no, we would love to have your insight on it. I think was it who was talking before? Go ahead again.
Yeah, this is Liz.
Yep.
And I was wondering if I could expand on the tournament for support for the men's team and the mixed team. Right now,
Okay.
we're still looking, and nobody's contacted me. So if you know anyone who would maybe be interested who's living in the Minnesota area, it would really be helpful. We don't have enough women, deaf women, to move forward with the curling. So they don't have to be deaf. They don't have to be strong in ESL. It could be anyone who's hard of hearing or, who has a hearing level of below a certain decibel. So if you know anyone that might fit that category, just go ahead and let me know, because they just need to know ASL, I guess, is the only rule. So if you know anyone that would be like to become involved with those events, just contact me, let me know. I'm happy to take any help and support that you can provide. Thank you so much.
Appreciate that, Liz, and certainly something we can circulate. And I'll remind myself to bring that up at the club council meeting on Thursday night as well. All right.
Great, thank you.
I was hoping the 5U Bondsville qualifier discussion would draw more people out, but I guess not. So any other questions? Doesn't look like it. I know Steph Dowell's on. I just want to say we appreciate Curl Masabi hosting the mixed doubles last chance qualifier. I think that's actually making us think about some sort of open qualifiers for structured in that way for perhaps other events in the future. and it certainly helps that we have an 8-sheet facility that's willing to host it. So much appreciated.
Yeah, thanks,
And-
Dean. We're excited about it.
Great. We are starting to work on next year's members meeting pretty shortly. Just on the site, we're doing some cost analysis of the last one, and hopefully we can announce something on next year's members meeting and assembly before too long. I think we took steps in the right direction with the members meeting assembly. We also did a number of surveys following it. So, and even without the feedback from the surveys, we're certainly aware that there are things we can improve, and we'll work on those next year. But we think the model of offering more certification courses, it was a good one, and we'll continue to expand on that. Just waiting because it looks like Zach Anderson is typing. Oh, he stopped. Started again. Yes, Zach. So there is a 5U qualifier question. So number of things. It's a good point. It's a fair one, about why some qualifiers are limited to regional participation. I will say that this year we have fewer than those. The Francis W. Dykes is not actually a qualifier, and that's because it's being held at clubs that aren't USA Curling member clubs, quite frankly. And we see it as a benefit of being a member club, and we want to we value the clubs that do join us. So it's not a qualifier, but there is the Childs, which is GNCC, and the Kaiser will be qualifiers, and they are regionally limited. It's something, Zach, that we are going to continue to look at. I will say the Pacific Northwest 5 and under, they are letting in some teams from outside of the region. Dakota Territory has always had a 5 and under event. One of the things that we like that they do, however, though, is they have two sides to the draw, and then they crown a Dakota Territory champion, and then that team plays the winner from the other side to determine the 5 and under rep. So I think going forward, it will be an issue that we'll continue to consider. We do like to have geographic distribution, but I agree that I think what some people have called them is closed events. What we navigate there just a little bit is some regions have invested quite a bit of time and effort in building a 5 and under bonspiel. So, but it's a fair point and one we continue to look at. I think this year there are only, I think there is something to be said for standardizing it. It's just something we have to navigate a little bit. But and I know that sounds like a very political answer, but that's really the logic behind it right now. But thanks for asking the question. And if there is anybody on is wondering why, again, I'll just say I know that there are people upset that the Francis W. Dykes is a big 5 and under men's field that I know very well as an East Coast curler. Gets a ton of teams. It's not a qualifier, simply, and we're not trying to. I have no ill will towards the clubs that are hosting it. I want them to succeed, or we want them to succeed as much as anything. But we do have to put some value on the member clubs membership, the member clubs that do support us, knowing that those member club dues help us run national championships and other events. All right. So Zach came in with that. That was appreciated. I don't have another question out there. And it's, I hate to say it, but I'm almost missing the excitement of nearly 2 years ago, but we'll go with this. I guess we'll take this. No, not really. We will have, we continue to try to communicate as much as possible. I appreciate all of you, because obviously if you're willing to join this town hall, you're invested in the sport. Certainly appreciate all that the leaders and people put in so much work at member clubs do. You're essential to the sport, and appreciate you, and thanks for joining. I don't have anything else. Always feel free to reach out. And I guess everybody can now go to watch the watch that other televised event. Not that this was televised, but the other broadcast webcast event. Thanks, everybody.